Hey traders, hope you're doing great today. So today we're going to be talking about Radar61. Radar61 is a trading intelligence and forecast application that watches most markets you care about and hands you trading setups, or as some people call it, trading signals. And especially those ones that matter, they are scored, they are structured, and they're ready to act on. Now today I will walk you through the first thing you'll do after logging in: setting up your first workspace, breaking it into sections and filling it with widgets that do to work for you. And by the end of this, you'll be able to have a working setup and something very good to understand the entirety of what Radar61 is all about. So let's get into it. So first off, we have the interface. This is the home, the applications, the workspaces, the settings, and other settings here. You can change your theme from light mode to dark mode, or whatever the case may be, your notifications and all that, as well as your sidebar. You can also lock it here, and if you close out your sidebar automatically, you have a mini sidebar here that pops up. You can also close this, move it around, keep it somewhere, so in case you don't want to work with this sidebar, you could easily just work with this. Okay, now for the sake of this video, let's just keep it fluid. We could be working with both. So the home, we have the creating of a workspace. So an app, for example, is when Radar61's team, when we put up widgets together, we call it an application. Then a workspace is for the users when you want to set up widgets by yourself. There are some things you want to see and some things you don't want to see, or some features you don't want to see. That's where the workspace comes in for the users. So for the app, for instance, we have the technical analysis app, which is the only app we have so far. And the Radar61 application will be bringing in more applications like fundamental analysis, sentimental analysis, and so many other applications. But for now, we have this. Now you can easily create a workspace here or here. You can use this here to create a workspace. So let's call this workspace quantitative analysis. So let's call this quantitative analysis. For instance, you can assign a particular icon to it. Let's say my quant analysis, I want, let's say code sign, for instance, and I want the color green. So I'm going to be focusing on FX and crypto on this. I create the workspace. Now I have a workspace for the quantitative analysis. Now, under this, we have something called widgets. As I explained earlier, so widgets are mini or micro applications put together, to help you with your trading goals. All right, these are most of the things that traders need or use on a daily basis. So we have our widget store. Then in the widget store, we have our live forecasts, we have the alerts, we have the catalog, charts, economic calendar, trader notes, market clocks, which could also be called the market sessions, and we have the compass. Now I'm going to be explaining what each of these does, but for starters, let's start with the live forecast, which is the MVP. Now this live forecast is going to be showing you trading signals, as some traders may call it. All right, so it depends on what market you're focused on. You could filter it down to let's say FX, for instance, and all you're going to be seeing are signals from FX, especially for the charts that have signals at this moment. So that's basically where you're going to be seeing signals from. Now we have the quantitative analysis workspace here. We also have the apps. Now, as I explained earlier, the apps is when the Radar61 team, when they put up widgets together to help the users. That is when we call it an app. So here we have the economic calendar app, we have the trader notes, we have the catalog, we have and also, if you don't understand what a particular widget or what it's used for, you can just go to this information icon here and you can click on learn more, and learn more sends you to details about that. But for now, we're gonna just stick to this explanation of what the whole system does. Now, back to this quantitative analysis workspace that we created. You can also edit it, delete it, all that stuff. If you have notifications on trading signals that you've already set, you'll be getting the notifications here. They'll be flooded up here. And we'll have something called sections. So the section is, let's say I'm working on this space and I want to use the next space. I want an extra space, right? Now we have the ability to add a new section here by just typing in, let's call this charts, for instance. And with charts, look, we have our charts section. So we have to, you could also call it menu depending on, or more like a sub menu for the workspace. All right, so we have the charts. Now I can easily add a chart, right, to this particular space. Okay, so you can see the BTC USD chart, for instance. You could easily change the charts. So let's say Euro USD. You could do that, or you could change it to gold, depending on whatsoever you're focused on at the moment. Now back to this, we have the live forecast widget here, right? I can also add more widgets. Let's say I want to add an alert widget. I could add that. Now currently we have some alerts set, that's why you're seeing this. Okay, now you could also we built the system in such a way that it's very much modular. So what I mean by that is you could add, you could remove, you could close. I could drag this guy and drop this guy under so it looks like this. I could also add other widgets to, let's say, the economic calendar, for instance. This is the economic calendar, and this is what's going to be happening for the coming week. You can see the news all listed out here. All right, then you could do something like this. You could drag this and put it into this, so it looks like it's in two tabs basically. Or if you don't need this here, you could drag it out, set it up here and all that. Now back to the widgets. Now we have, let's say we are focusing on crypto today. Let's focus on crypto a bit today. Let's see if there are any. Okay, let's work with this. So we have the Tron, for instance. Let's look at Tron. You click on Tron, for instance, you'd see the forecast. I can reduce this a bit. Yeah, you'll see the forecast of Tron. You'll see that Tron is moving to 0.3256, which is the forecast that Radar61 saw. You can see the setup, then you can see the forecast price, right, when it was discovered, when it's gonna expire. You can see confidence indicators and time frame confluence, all that stuff, as well as volatility analysis. Most of the time I use this volatility analysis to look for where to set my stop losses and things like that, on my entries too. So this is an example. You can also see the confidence score of this particular setup of Tron, right? Yes, of Tron. You can see the the confidence scoring. Then you could also add this to the alert. So if I add this to the alert now, notice that popped up here. So what this means is that I'm going to be getting a support alert on Tron. All right, I'm going to be getting a support alert on Tron for H4 time frame. So every time we have a support on Tron at the 4-hour time frame, I'm gonna just get the alert. So this system is currently watching and figuring out when that happens automatically. You don't have to sit back and wait. So now we have something called filters here on the live forecast. This is where you choose the market you're looking for, the symbols, the time frames, the trading methodology. We have all sorts of trading methodologies here, more coming in soon. We've implemented the smart money concept, but we need to update that here on the app itself. Then you have the confidence scoring, where you can choose the confidence levels that you're focused on for now as a trader. Then obviously you can refresh this, you can expand this guy to so that it just takes the whole screen, right? You can see just to the whole screen. So if I remove this filter here, so you can see lots of trading signals. You can also check for gold EUR or whatever signal that you're looking out for at the moment. You can see Meta, you can see Euro GBP and the rest of them, right? Then let's drop this guy back. Then you can also move, let's say I don't want the chart to be just charts here, I want something else here. You could do this where you move to section, you move this guy, for example, to a different section. You can move this guy to like the chart section. So what that means is if I come to the chart, I'm gonna see this guy here, right? But right now it's not relevant to be there, so let's just move it back. Yeah, so this is it. Let's move it back. So now we understand what workspaces are. It's for you to manipulate and add whatsoever widgets you want. You know, we have lots of widgets. Let's say let's add more widgets, shall we? So we could add the catalog, we could add the economic calendar, traders notes, market club, and the compass. Now each of them do have their use cases, but for now let's explore and see what they do. So we have this here, can drag this in here. So we have the market clock here, and for the market clock we can change the view to whatsoever view we want, right? Then we have the compass. Let's say we have the compass here, for instance, and the market notes. Let this be the market notes. We can close this guy out because we already have it here. So now this is an example of our widgets and how it was just structured here right now. With this you can see a workspace of quantitative analysis having various use cases. All right, and if the space is too congested, obviously you can create more you can create more sections and add to have a proper goal on what each of this. In the coming videos, we're going to be exploring each of these widgets and explaining what they do and how they act. But for now, we have the technical analysis app. You have your home. If you come to the home, you can see the workspace we just created and the technical analysis. You have your settings, your profile. It tells you what plan you're on, your name, your email address, location, all that stuff. You can check your preferences, your trading defaults, and your billing plan, etc. So this is an example of what it looks like. Then I think with this we understand what an app is, as I said earlier, and we understand what a workspace is. Now this is an example of a workspace. If I'm to create a new workspace, for instance, let's call this research. Let's call this research, for instance, and I add this. Let's say I go with purple and this, and this. I could create this workspace here, and we have two workspaces now. You can see one called quantitative analysis, the other called research, and you'll notice that this is empty. So this is a typical example of how we could use the workspaces, the widgets, and everything about it, so you understand how to move and how to use the application. I think with this the upcoming videos, as I said, it's going to be on each of the widgets, trying to explain the use case and how they react, and then the benefits of each of them. So thank you very much and have a great day. Bye.